Hey friends, welcome back to Jason Unleashed. How's it going? Good to see you. I'm your host, Jason Carter. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being here. Happy Monday. Great show today. Really just happy to have my guest because I have been a fan of this woman for years and she's incredible. Danielle Robay, interviewer, host, journalist, influencer, you name it. She's a powerhouse. And I'm going to bring her in and let's just get to it because, like I said, she's incredible and you're going to see why. With Danielle Robay. Danielle Robay, yeah.
Oh my goodness, I love that intro. Thank you, I'm honored.
I'm honored to have you here. I had to give you like a theme song while we're connecting. Danielle, welcome to Jason Unleashed. Good to see you.
Thank you, Jace. I'm so happy to see your face.
You too. Forgive the echo that's in this room. I tried to add like sound dampening. It doesn't work. This is where we're at. This is what we're doing. How are you doing?
You know what's funny? Only you would notice that because everybody else is just happy to see your handsome face.
Oh, stop it.
Well, I'm so happy to see you. It's like kind of a breath of fresh air to have some social interaction, right?
Oh, 100%. You're holding it down in Chicago, yes?
No, I'm back in LA actually.
Boom, good for you. You're West Coast. Boom, yes, Danielle, this quarantine has been the most. How have you been surviving?
I think I've been thriving. I don't want to be, we had this joke in college, like if somebody said, like, oh, I'm the worst dancer. And there was this girl that would be like, I'm the best dancer ever. And we'd be like, oh, I hate like broccoli. And she'd be like, broccoli's my favorite vegetable. And her name was Amanda. So we'd always be like, don't be Amanda. And I feel like I'm being Amanda, but I'm thriving in quarantine.
Listen, it's okay to be Amanda because you know what? Thriving is actually better than surviving. So I accept that. I accept that. You bring up dancing. What people don't know about you is that you started out as a dancer. You can cut a rug.
No, I can't. I'm so bad. I actually don't know if this is a clinical illness. You can let me know if there's a diagnosis that you can give me. But I was like, on dance team, I think in high school I was a really good dancer, and then at some point in time I lost rhythm, and I don't know what happened. I think it's like a mental block.
I don't. Okay, so dancing is a power that has been imbued into your soul by a higher being, and I liken it to a mutant power. So you may not. I don't think you really lose rhythm, Danielle. You just probably are a little rusty.
Please help me, please. I feel like you have immense rhythm. Yeah,
hey, my TikToks have been lack thereof because I don't have time to do TikTok. It's a full-on job. And three, I'm lazy. Like, quarantine has me in these streets doing nothing.
That's so funny. That's not true. You were like the first person to start a full-on show during quarantine. I feel like in complete awe of you.
Oh, well, thank you, Danielle. Well, in complete awe of me. We're in complete awe of you because, as I said, in the host game, in Los Angeles, like this little hyper bubble. But let's get broadcasty with it. It's not linear casting. This is broadcasting. Your career is one that is so unique in the sense that you have been able to lend your talents to some of the dopest, most powerful brands in entertainment, but also pivot and create this awesome, really cool intersection of millennials that are woke and present and care about what's happening and have a social conscious awareness and still be able to talk about things like Kardashians, pop culture, entertainment. But the beginning, what led you to become a journalist and to cultivate the Danielle Robay that we see now?
Well, thank you for saying that. That means a lot. I have always been into politics and pop culture separately. I really care what all the celebrities are wearing. I want to know what their makeup trends are. Like, I follow all of their hair and makeup teams. I'm really, like, I care about it. And separately, I care so much and definitely care more about what's going on in the world. I was a political science major. Around the dinner table growing up, we were always talking politics. It was kind of like a do good, do well family. Like, you were expected to do well in school, to get good grades, but like you had to do good too. So that was really instilled in me from a young age. And then as I got further along in my career, I was lucky enough to meet people that I think strengthened that feeling. I think when you're starting out in anything, you're like, how do I make it? What do I need to do? what can I get out of this experience?
Mm-hmm.
And as you get further and further down the line, I think you realize it's actually not about what you get, it's about what you give.
Yeah.
But you have to go through all the motions to get to that place. So I wasn't there until, I would say, like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, it kind of started simmering in me. And then I realized, like, oh my God, life is about being of service to people.
Mm-hmm.
And so I try every single day to be of service to at least one person, if not a few. And I try and carry that along in my Instagram. I know it sounds so corny, but it's like, what can I give? How can I add value? Because I appreciate people that do that for me.
It doesn't sound corny at all. And you bring up your Instagram. I think that's a fantastic hub to where we can experience all that you do bring to the table, Danielle. And I think what's interesting and wonderful and just yummy and delicious about what you just said is that, influencers, I hate that word. Ugh, I hate the word influencer. But in your case, you are absolutely an influencer because you have such an eclectic way of giving, as you said, information that's really pertinent. I know when we had talked about you coming on the show earlier, you said, Jay, let me take a step back and let me have you bring on people whose voices need to be amplified. And we have seen that with everything. I mean, you need your own book club because some of the things you recommend us to read are really topical and they're great reads in regards to the things that are happening in the world, be it social conscious, racial injustices. You're a huge champion of women's rights and pushing women to the forefront. Where does that come from?
Yeah. So my name Robay is actually my middle name. And it actually means Rhodey and Barbara. It's my two grandmothers' names put together. And my mom created it. She was like, you are going to be named after two really strong women. And it's, I think, been instilled in me since day one. But I've definitely had experiences along the way, like in college and in my career, that have furthered it or amplified it. I think, like, when you pick a passionate career, you almost do it to heal yourself.
Yeah.
And there's definitely some of that going on. Like, I'm launching a podcast called Pretty Smart, and it's for the next generation of women. I want to give them like a toolkit to try and not make the mistakes that I made and maybe even learn with them along the way. So I'm bringing people on that I want to learn from. Like, I'm bringing trust experts on, like people that can really expand our minds. But I guess, sorry, I got off tangent.
That's still fine.
The women thing. My mom's side of my family was all in the Holocaust. And I think when you grow up with that informing your upbringing, the idea of never again is like always in your mind. And so I have been given so much in my life, and I feel like I want to do as much as I can to lift up any marginalized voice, not just women. And so I think because I am a woman, that's maybe at the forefront of my thought process.
Sure. Yeah.
That extends to every single person,
Right. Well, you being a woman is your experience. And of course, in order to be authentic and add to authentically deliver your experience, you have to speak about your experience. Let's talk about Pretty Smart, though, because saw you on Bill Brunch last year. You talked about it. Women are pretty witty. They're pretty witty. They're pretty talented, but they're also pretty smart. Creating that and that labor of love and working through that, the journey to arriving at this new podcast.
First of all, hearing you, I haven't heard anybody else say my tagline. And so hearing you say it made me so excited. Thank you. Yeah, so I had some interesting experiences last year. I got to be on a few platforms that I had always dreamed of. Like, when I moved to LA, I was like, I want to be Juliana Rancic. And this last year, I got to be on E!
Loved you, saw it, amazing. You're like, Tamar Braxton, no, we're not here for it.
Oh my God, you really saw
it. Yes, I'm a fan, Danielle. I absolutely saw it.
For pettiness. I don't believe in pettiness. I think we got bugs. So Tamar is petty. Anyways, but she is entertaining. I'll give you that. No, so I had all these experiences, and I was like not booking my dream jobs. I was like close and not booking it. And there were some tears, and I was kind of bummed. And then I was like, what do I actually want? Like, that was the dream of Danielle when I was 21, 22 and moved to LA. But is that still the dream?
Yeah.
And I had to kind of like take stock, which is hard because you almost mourn it, right? Like I know that you've had those
Oh,
moments too.
almost more. And Danielle, you absolutely mourn it because I mean, not to
Yeah.
cut you off, but I think what you're saying is so on the money for what a lot of people are experiencing because we have these ideas, these ideals, and this perfect picture of how we want things to go. Because along the way, you've also been told what you need to do and the steps you need to take to get there. It's like
Yeah.
college and high school. You go, you get a degree, you're done. But the entertainment industry doesn't work that way. But yeah, you've had I don't know, you've modeled your career after some of the greats, like or like Barbara Walters or
Right.
anyone, and
Yeah.
so you're like, okay, I've done all these things, I've done the work, I've put in the work, I've manifested or I've tried to cultivate this. Why isn't it going the way I imagined it to, and the way I've seen my predecessors have their careers unfold? So I feel that, but you do mourn it. You absolutely mourn it.
For sure. That's really well said. And you know, you can model your career after somebody, but technology is ever changing. So you always have to
Hmm.
kind of create your own stuff. And you mentioned Barbara Walters. I've always really looked up to her. And she created The View.
Yeah.
And when she created The View, um, nobody was really for it. Like people were like 5 women talking about topics, no thanks. And she pushed and she pushed and she pushed and she was relentless and she got it on air. It became the #1 show for so long. And now there's like spin-offs, right? Like there's The Real, there's The Talk. Like so many
Everything,
people
right.
have modeled their shows after what she created. And I was like, I need to create something of my own. And obviously it had to do with women. So I read a book called Beauty Sick. And
Hmm.
the beginning of the book starts with a professor, the author of the book, Renee Engeln, saying that 54% of women would rather be hit by a car than be considered fat. And I thought to myself, like, if I'm honest, in high school, I would have said I'd rather be hit by a car. And I did some work to heal that.
Yeah.
But almost every woman I know has some strange relationship with food, with their body. I think men have it too, but it's definitely placed more so on women.
Hmm.
And I was like, the most beautiful women in my life are pretty bold, pretty strong, pretty witty, pretty smart. And I've always thought that education was the great equalizer. It's completely expanded my life. And so I was like, okay, pretty smart. That's it. We are going to interview people that are the trailblazers of today and give those stories to the next generation of women. I feel like we see ourselves in other people's stories. That's why I
You do.
love interviews. That's why I love what we do, you know? So it's like, how do I give those stories to the next generation of women so they don't really have to go through all the nonsense that we did? Or if they are, at least they have somebody to say like, oh, that happened to me too.
Hmm. It's a space of comfort. It's a space
Yeah.
of it's a safe space also because I think I myself like I read a lot of letting go, the universe manifestation, and you're in times of bleakness. Mariah Carey used the word bleakness yesterday, and I loved it. And when things seem bleak and you can't see the light at the end of the tunnel, you search for comfort. Some people find comfort in food. They find comfort in a myriad of different things. But I think when you're able to find a story and see someone who's gone through what you're going through or something similar and come out on the other side, there's so much comfort in that. So you offering a hub and a
So
safe space
much.
for that, that's beautiful because so many people are looking for that now more than ever. Now more than ever.
You know, somebody that I really admire asked me the other day, who in your life makes you feel seen and validated and really heard?
Yeah.
And I was thinking, like, there's one person I can think of that really makes me feel that way. But mostly, it's stories, it's
Hmm.
books, it's podcasts, it's hearing other people's stories and thinking, oh, I see myself in that. Like that happened to me, or I had that feeling, that pain, that joy, whatever it is. And so I was like, this is like storytelling is how we move the world. So I want to be a part
Right.
of that. I want to be an arbiter of that.
Ooh, arbiter and storytelling is how we move the world. That needs to go on a freaking t-shirt, Danielle. T-shirt. You had brought up, and you just mentioned something that people liken you to be, and that's a trailblazer. And
I don't
I've
think
had
I've
so many
heard that, but
conversations,
thank you.
but I speak truthfully. And hear me out on this. I've had many conversations with people about you over the years, and whenever I bring up or someone brings up the name Danielle Robay, they say hustler, trailblazer. You
Thank you.
said that you, in times of where you didn't know if you were on the right path, you always had to go back and recalibrate and refocus and reconnect with your why. So now, Danielle, what is the why?
Ooh, okay, Oprah. What is the why? The why is two things. The why has changed. The why is two things. The first one is to experience life and to like really have joy and pain and all of the experiences myself. And the other why is to really be able to add value to other people's lives and specifically women. I want other women, I want the next generation of girls to not have to deal with the stuff that we dealt with, that our mothers, that our grandmothers dealt with. And if I can help, honestly, one person via Instagram or a few people via the podcast, whatever it is, I am a happy girl.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Your career has taken you so many different places. You were the youngest TV show host in all of Chi-Town.
And you went on the show.
I did, and and it was so funny because I was talking to your colleagues, Felicia and who else was there that day? Brandon,
Jordan.
And and I was just like, Danielle Robay was here. You guys know that, right? And then just people like you're so celebrated, and I mean, from IMDb to E to Extra to California Living, you have lent your talents to just so many great things. I think there's something to be said about your business acumen, partnering with Fortune 100 companies like AT&T. How does Danielle move and shake in those rooms, and how are you able to inflect your brand into those brands? Because it's not easy, but yet you've been so successful in proving that you have this incredible business acumen.
Thank you. That's really kind. I think part of it's luck. Like, I think to not recognize that. I heard Obama on a Letterman interview one time say, like, if you don't recognize the luck in your life, then you're kind of missing it.
Yeah.
I do think some of it's luck. I think also luck is like a bus. If you're not at the bus station, the bus will keep coming, but you'll miss it. So
right.
You gotta be at the
station. be at the damn station.
Be at the bus station. And in that sense, like, I try and like really be prepared. So when I walk into meetings, when I walk into, like, for instance, with AT&T, when the conversation started, I put a whole deck together. Yeah. And I did research on AT&T, and I was like, okay, here's how I think I can add value. Here's where we can move the needle together. Here's what I think, like, you do amazing that maybe I can help put a spotlight on with a different audience. So, like, really being proactive. I always say that that's huge. I think people want to work with people that want to work with them. People want to work with people that are energized and excited about what you're doing. And in that case, I've also learned that, like, if I don't feel excited, it's going to come across. So, like, working with AT&T has been incredible because they have, like, their team is so amazing. The events they do are so in line with what I love. Like, it really is an organic thing. And same with Noon. Like, I am such a health nut. Fitness is a huge part of my life. And they're a movement company. Like, even though they're a hydration company, they're a movement company. So I feel like you kind of attract what you put out. So you kind of have to think about what you're putting out there,
right.
You know?
100%. And I think that's what a lot of people, a lot of talent. I mean, first of all, hi, everyone watching. Just want to say hello. Everyone's watching. A lot of people that want to get into any facet of this industry, be it entertainment, music, whatever, don't realize that you're a brand. You're a brand. And I hate, like, it's all these, like, really vapid terms we have to use, but there's truth behind it. And also, like, we have allowed ourselves to take whatever we can get because of that thirst for success, but not really curating what feels good and what do I intentionally, authentically, viscerally really want to do versus just taking whatever's thrown at us. Because it's when we do take, I think there is points in your career where you have to settle, but there also comes a time where you have to shift and pivot and say, okay, what do I want, and what is going to feel good to myself and my soul? And I mean, I'm right there with you. And I worked at AT&T for 13 years, so I was really excited to see you work with AT&T. Yeah, girl, I worked at AT&T from the time when it was singular. I was selling cell phones, and yes, So AT&T is like, I kind of bleed, I used to bleed blue, but not anymore. But we're in a time, Danielle, we're in a time now
Yeah,
where there is an intersectionality between politics and things that are not trivial and the lighter stuff, the
for
entertainment,
sure.
the pop culture. You yourself have wanted to be at the forefront of having things be cerebrally entertaining, right? Cerebral
Yeah.
entertainment is the phrase that you use. How do you feel about what's happening now? Because it's inescapable. There's no way you can have conversations about pop culture without entering politics, race, marginalized groups of people, health. How do you feel about the conversations that are happening now?
I agree with you. It's funny because I've always felt that way. I think it's on a whole nother level now. But I had a blog like 5, 6 years ago called Pop Politics because I
Mm-hmm.
felt like pop culture was a mirror back. It was showing us like where we are and where we're going. I remember the days of Duck Dynasty, like that show. I always
Yeah.
hated that show. I hated Honey Boo Boo. I hated the shows that I felt like were not moving us forward as a society. Now it's not all black and white. Like I actually think there's parts of Honey Boo Boo that are kind of interesting. You know, like we don't see different classes of people on TV a lot. So to see like a poorer family on TV, I think is important. Maybe not in that light. Maybe we could
Mm-hmm.
watch something like Shameless.
Yeah.
But I think that they're totally intertwined. Take Caitlyn Jenner. Whether you like Caitlyn as a person or not, what Caitlyn did in terms of opening up the conversation in a mainstream way about transgender people is remarkable,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm
Yeah.
so happy for it. You know,
Right.
I think Kim Kardashian. Do you remember the Paper magazine?
Yeah.
Magazine cover, and she broke the internet. She had like the martini glass on her tush.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I remember all the comments being like, "You're a mother. How dare you?" And I was thinking to myself, like, okay, you can hate the cover, you can hate Kim, whatever you want, but we kind of desexualize moms in American culture. Why do we
Mm-hmm.
do that? Like, I think there
Right.
are so many sociological breakdowns to every pop culture moment. And it's kind of how my brain works, like, naturally. And so now, as much as I dislike Trump, I am in a weird way grateful for the last 3.5 years because I think the unrest, the frustration, the blatant racism and
Racism.
misogyny
Word. Yeah.
has reactivated people. Like democracy is a verb, and we are now working towards it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, in a weird way, I have a little bit of gratitude. Not total not totally there yet, but a little gratitude.
That's not weird though, Danielle, because when they say in any self-help book you read about like the universe, and sorry not to get all Super Soul Sunday, I just reading a lot of universe books at the
I
moment,
mean, you know, I'm
but
with that, so go ahead.
how
Oh no.
I had a call. Someone called me. How dare they call me when I'm in a live? Rude. Um, but what I was saying is that they say that when you're at your lowest and you're feeling negative or you're in that space, that gratitude pulls you back, right? So with everything that's happening with COVID and then how we're sheltered indoors and just the last 6 months that have never been like nothing we've ever seen before in humanity, or at least in our lifetime, finding and having the mindset to reframe and be like, boom, there is a silver lining, be it how you ever got there, it is powerful. But with the way you think, Danielle, like I watched you on Dr. Drew. You had some amazing moments on Dr. Drew, and you were not afraid to go toe to toe with people who were not millennials, who felt that your viewpoint was invalid, that who felt that because you were, from what I was watching, you were a woman, you really didn't bring anything to the table, and you have this huge social media following of people who hinge on what you put out there. Do you feel a responsibility in it? Is there times where you're fearful about what to say, even though you know passionately that's how you truly feel?
I haven't had a moment yet where I've been nervous of what to say. I think like a lot of my peers recently have been talking to me about cancel culture.
Mm-hmm.
And I think broadcasters or hosts feel like if I say this, I'm canceled. If I do this, I'm canceled,
Yep.
which I totally understand. But I think I've always been really outspoken, like my whole life. I was not the girl in class that like I always raise my hand, you know, like it's just like in me. I can't help it for better or worse. And I feel like I have a sense of duty. Like, you know, privilege is relative. Like, I walk into one room and I hold privilege. I walk into another and I don't. But for the most part, I hold a lot of privilege. And I want to use it all. Like, I want to use it all. And so, no, I don't feel nervous, because if you want to cancel me, cancel me. Like, I don't, my career is not who I am. And I feel like if I feel my own integrity and I know what I'm saying is feels right, then I'm cool with it. Not to say like I can't learn more. You know, I think like I saw Jamila Jamil, who I love, post something about apologizing today. And I think that's so cool. Like, we're on this ever learning process or journey. And in terms of cancel culture, like, why not educate somebody or yourself instead of just cancel them?
Because if we cancel, and someone else had made that sentiment, I think it was on, I don't know what I was watching, it was Daily Blast Live, and they were talking about someone was being canceled.
Sam Shocker, my girl.
Live for Sam. And Al had said, you know, we can't cancel everyone. There comes a time where you have to like teach people, and we have to there's redemption, and from redemption becomes learning. So I agree with that. Cancel culture, look, it's because the people who want to cancel are a small sample that's very loud. And so on social media, that's what we see.
Party.
Right, exactly. And so it's not really it's not the zeitgeist of, it's in the zeitgeist, but it's not the thought process of every single person that thinks that exists. Not everyone wants to cancel people, but you say your career.
People should be canceled?
I think, wow, okay, good question. And I think, no. It depends on how egregious the act is. There are some things you cannot get past, or I cannot get past. I cannot get past the murdering of children. I cannot get past rape. I cannot get past so many things. I think I'm open to having conversations with those people, but forgiveness, and I'm working on this, is something that's completely different. And cancel culture is founded in a lack of forgiveness.
Interesting.
So it is. I mean, if you want to get altruistic with it and beyond like social media, but if you really get down to the nitty gritty of what cancel culture is, at least to me, it's like, I'm mad at someone for something they did, and I can't see them as a human being being valuable and making mistakes and being human. So therefore, they are completely dead as a person. They have no purpose, no value ever. Right. And it's for me, it's like forgiving people is what I struggle with, because I think I'm a very kind and giving and loving person, and I give people chances. But after the chances have been exhausted, you come to a point where you're like, you know what? It's a wrap on you. I'm sorry. Like,
I know. I really struggle with it, because there's certain people that I'm like, I don't really think you deserve to have a voice in the zeitgeist anymore. Like Harvey Weinstein, Charlie Rose,
Ghislaine Maxwell. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Like, you just don't deserve a platform.
Right.
I don't cancel you as a human. You have every right to live and do whatever, but like, I don't really want to hear your voice anymore. And
that's fair. And
back and forth.
Same. And it's like this internal battle of like, is there something within me? Am I bitter and angry about something? It's like this whole mind screw that you just go. So I just read the saying.
Decide, right?
Right.
What's the line?
What is the barometer, the temperature of that? But you said that your career doesn't define you. And that to me is so powerful, because so many people struggle with that. And let's talk about a time in your career, Danielle, because you are so successful, where you thought it was the end of the road. Like, you thought, you know what? It's a wrap on being on television. It's a wrap on hosting. Like, this is not for me. And what brought you back from that?
Feel that? I feel that all the time.
Yesterday, Friday, last Wednesday, but there's also that one moment though, or that one experience where that really shakes you to your core, and really just makes you feel like, what cosmic joke was just played on me? What was that for you?
You're right. There is always one experience. And am I allowed to curse on here?
Absolutely.
Hi, David Palitz. Okay, so I actually had an interview one time at the NBC station in San Francisco, and I don't know if he was I think he was the news director there, who was such a cool guy, and we had like a very honest conversation, and he calls it the oh shit job. And he was like, no matter what career you're in, everybody has the oh shit job. And I had one. I think you probably know what it is. I had one. And I was so unhappy in that job. I thought it was like the moment that would kind of like take my career to the next level. It was like a name brand company. And there were some silver linings in it, but for the most part, it just wasn't me. I was really unhappy. The job description, like what they told me it was going to be, was very different than what it was. I felt kind of duped, but I was like, I got into this. Like, I got to get myself out of it. And I called my mom one time we like barely got lunch because we were so busy. And we had lunch. I would go, like, lunch was like not real. I would go to the bathroom and I would just like cry.
Yeah.
I broke out into hives because I was like, Danielle, what's wrong with you that you can't push through this? Like, this is what you wanted. Push through it and maybe you'll get to the next level.
Right.
And I was so unhappy every day. And I called my mom crying from the bathroom stall and she was like, just quit. And I was like, I have no money. I can't just quit. And she was like, you have like 2 to 3 months of savings for your rent. You don't need any clothes. Quit and you will figure it out.
Right. Yeah.
And it was the best advice she gave me. You know, like, I can't say I could give everybody that advice. You have to be smart about it. You don't want to like lose your apartment, you know, but I had enough savings. And those 3 months turned into 8 months. I had to do odd jobs and like, you know, do things to make money. But I learned how to cook. I started reading books again. Like, I hadn't read in a long time since college, basically, because I was so busy. I fell in love for the first time. I did all of these things that fed my soul. I forgot who I was as a human because I was just like on this treadmill of trying to like make it, right? And there were many nights where I cried myself to sleep because I applied for a million jobs. I tried to create my own stuff. I exhausted every avenue. And I was like, maybe this is it. Like, maybe this is not what I was meant to do. But in my gut, I was like, there's nothing else I can do. Like, this is it for me.
I know. Oh my God. Okay, continue. Go ahead.
Right. So I got a call from this guy, Steve Bailey in Chicago, who, you know, I connected you with him, and he's so talented and smart and just freaking awesome. And he said, we're doing a new show in Chicago. I want you to come audition. And I had just fallen in love. I was like, I'm not leaving LA. Like, I just fell in love. I finally have an apartment. Like, I'm finally getting my bearings. And I was like, I'm just going to do it. It's a free flight home, right? Like, I'm from Chicago. I'll go home. I'll see my mom, my dad. So did it. Ended up doing 3 different auditions. Got the job. Of course, it's you get the job when you're not focused on getting the job. Right. Always. And it was the best thing that ever happened to me. Like, I loved my time on that show. I learned so much. I'm most grateful for that experience. And it all kind of works out. Right. You know, it always does. You just have to keep telling yourself, breathe through it. And it's hard. Yeah.
It's like working out. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, it's like working out. It's like that last rep, though, the home stretch, when you want to give up and quit. You're like, I hate everything, but I'm going to do this. And when you're done, or when you arrive at where you're trying to go, it's just like, thank you. Like, there's a releasing sense of gratitude, I guess.
You know, you reminded me of something. My dream is to be on The View. That's like my big dream. I don't know if you're supposed to tell people your dreams, but that's my dream. So at one point, I met with the former executive producer, Candy Carter. She's an incredibly smart, cool woman. Like, I was really nervous to meet her. And she gave me really good advice because I was kind of at a transition phase. And I think this is something that people can proactively do if they feel like they're in that phase and they don't know. She was like, email 10 people that are close to you, that you feel like really know who you are, and ask them questions about yourself. So what do you think my skill set is? When you look at me, what do you think makes me unique? Like, you know, come up with these questions and send them sort of like a 5 to 8 question survey. And the responses you get back are so interesting because I think we see ourselves differently than other people see us oftentimes.
We do.
And so like what you're gunning for in your career may actually be different than like the lane you might be better suited in, but you're not seeing it. And so to have other people give you that feedback, I think can be so helpful.
Right. And you're right, because I mean, it also gives you yes, people you see yourself, you absolutely see yourself completely differently than other people see you. But I think being open to switching gears, because that's resistance is something that people struggle with as well. We have, again, this image of how things should go. And we work hard to perfect how things should go, from your hair, makeup, body, the way you talk, every skill set you cultivate, every image of yourself you erect, is in alignment for that goal in the distance. So you hold on to that with dear life, dead cold hands, and it takes so much to relinquish that tight grip.
Right. Tony Robbins says you shit all over yourself.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And it's that in itself is work. Being able to pivot and shift gears and say, okay, the lane is closed. It's not a through street anymore. It's a dead end. Do not pass go and collect $100. You got to go this way. And finally, I think the universe or whomever will bring you to your knees and say, I'm not allowing you to go this way, Danielle and Jason. Sorry. So keep trying. But when you're ready to pivot, look what I have for you over here. It's going to be awesome. But you got to trust me. And trust is so hard. Trust is so hard. It's so hard. But I love your story about your mom saying, just quit, because so many people come to LA and can't do that, or they can, but they don't think they have the power to make change.
You know what's interesting is I've always had, I don't know if it's naive, but I've always had like this inner voice that I trust. And I have a faith that it's a confidence. I know what I can bring to the table. I know what I can't. I know I have a lot to learn, but I know that I bring something to the table. And so if it's not a match, you don't need to force it. Like, things should flow. Yeah. I forced it a lot when I was younger. I would get jobs sometimes even because I was so proactive. Right. And it wasn't the right job for me. Like, it was, I would be constantly like hitting roadblocks, and it's supposed to flow. And I kind of wish somebody would have told me that when I graduated college.
Well, but Oprah, you've seen that video from Oprah about her getting the color purple. And at the end she says, when you've done all you can, when you strive and you beg, just give it up to that which is bigger than you and go with the flow. And there's a reason why that corny adage is so powerful and is true, because type A personalities, and especially women, people of color, marginalized groups of people, our story has always been, through ancestry and through just experience, and what history has taught us is that no one's going to do it for you. You have to do it for yourself. And what that translates into is, by all means necessary. When the going gets tough, you know what? You get tougher. When it's not working for you, you make it work. Figure it out. And it takes I think success is also knowing when you can't figure it out. This is just not for me, and being able to hop off that train and say, you know what, I'm out. That's true success, I think.
Meme, Jason. I like that.
Danielle, let's talk about things that are really happy, because you have this amazing, incredible energy. In quarantine, things that Danielle Robay, and what is your real last name? Oh my gosh, I'm learning so much about you. Can you say?
I'm not telling you.
Okay, fine. What has Danielle Robay learned about herself in quarantine, and what has been the silver lining of COVID for you?
What have I learned? I've learned to let it flow even more so. I've learned that the right people are meant to stay in your life, and sometimes it's okay to let people go that aren't, like, it's a what do they say? Like, it's a season, a reason, or forever. And either one of those three is okay. And What has been the silver lining? I love alone time. Ooh, I love alone time, Jason. I really do. And I love that, like, there's no, it's not like, oh, I can't meet this day or I can't do this. It's like, no one asked.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel recharged when I'm alone. And we've had time, right? Like, I love the time, the stillness to like read and cook and like the more creative things that sometimes when you're busy, you don't get to do, or at least I don't make time for. Maybe I should carve out more time. But yeah, I've read a lot of books. I've listened to a lot of podcasts. I've been building Pretty Smart. We're going to launch next month.
Congrats.
Thank you. It's doing something on your own is so hard. Like, I have
Word.
no idea.
Same.
I have no idea how hard it is to launch.
Same. It's all encompassing. You work a regular 9 to 5, 8 hours a day. When you work for yourself, 14, 16, 17 hours a day. You're constantly, because
it's so much.
But it's so freaking rewarding. Look,
for sure. But like, question for you, like when you post all these great graphics on your Instagram of the people that you're about to interview, I'm like, those must have taken so long to make. Like, now every iteration of people's jobs I have so much respect for, because I'm like, oh, it's so hard to do it all on your own.
it is. Well, Danielle, like what we're doing now, the graphics and all that, so much trial and error has gone into what Jason Unleashed has become in this point, like figuring it out, emailing people, like going on other people's sites and seeing what they're doing and asking questions. I don't know how many DMs I have slid in asking the most basic questions from successful people, because I'm like, I want to know how you do it, but it's exhausting. With that said, though, I wouldn't have it any other way. I would never want, gone are the day. Look, if I got offered an amazing job working for a network, of course, that'd be great and wonderful. But nothing will ever replace the amount of just true, of how proud you are when you create and deliver and just do something on your own terms, unapologetically, without the need of some producer, some EP, some manager, some agent telling you what your talent is and what it should be. Fuck that. I would rather.
Okay.
So I'm sorry. Hey,
fire in his belly.
It's the truth though, because I would rather make 0 cents and connect with you and have moments with people like you and talk and just be able to do this and with my ring light and my crazy Amazon lighting than to be told
BTS, everyone, we got the
BTS, than to be told who I am and what I can do by someone who really doesn't value me. Nope, those days are over. So I feel you. It does take a lot to do on your own, but it's so worth it.
Amina,
so worth
go
it.
off, Jason. Yes.
Wait, is that Amina?
Moves back.
Wait, is that Amina J? Did Amina J just there's so many comments here. Sorry guys, I'm present with Danielle. I didn't mean to miss a comment.
We have so many mutual friends. I love it. I feel like
we do. Hey, Luca, Sade, Amir, awesome. Well, people are
Sade,
huge fans of yours.
But I love your profile photo.
Oh, get into her. Hey, Amina, bomb. Midwest queen right there, too. Sade Spence, she's a triplet. She's an amazing journalist. Danielle, she's incredible. Who else? All right, and then sales. Anyways, look, I'm going to let you go, but before we go, one, thank you for being here, and two, I always ask this question because I think people really don't know the answer, but Danielle Robay in 2020, if someone came up to you and said, who was Danielle as a woman in 2020 and what does she stand for, what would you tell them?
That's tough. Couldn't have given me a heads up on this one, Jace?
No, because you're brilliant. You got this. Come on, Chicago.
I'm kidding. Yeah, no. Who is Danielle Robay in 2020? She's a real girl. She is, I think, more okay with herself than she's ever been. It feels weird talking in third person. I feel more at peace with myself and my learnings than I ever have. And I feel like I finally have something that I can offer other people. You know, I think like with Pretty Smart, I can finally connect with people and serve. And I always try to do that through news, because I think that's why like a diversity of voices in news is so important, because it really informs the type of information you're receiving. I always tried to tell stories that weren't being told. Like, we did a story in Chicago on Planned Parenthood, and that was really hard to pass through the ranks of everything. We did a story on gun violence that was really hard to get passed through. And I feel like with Pretty Smart, we're going to be able to do that even on a larger scale, to tell people's stories, to connect with other women. And yeah, I think she's a real girl.
She's a real girl that has found peace. Let me tell you something, Danielle. Yeah. That is priceless. Peace is priceless, girl. Congratulations. Pretty Smart launches this fall.
Yes.
Awesome. And we can follow you here on Instagram at Danielle Robay and across all social media platforms at Danielle Robay.
Can I just tell you something quickly, or do you have to go?
No. Where am I going? I have no job.
So, you know, it's always funny, like when you're an interviewer or a reporter and then you get interviewed.
Yeah.
And you're so like aware of what people are doing and how they're moving and research and all of the things. And you are just so good at what you do.
Oh my God, thank you.
No, it's true. I always feel like when I interview people, my goal is to make them feel seen. Because it's like a gift, right? It's like what therapy does. Like you feel seen. And I think a great interview can do that. And you really made me feel that today. And I'm so grateful.
Danielle, thank you. One, thank you for the kind words. Two, you are seen. You've been seen. And you're going to be even more seen because you authentically and organically and truthfully stand in your truth, and you do such great work. And beyond your career, you're just cool. Like you just have a good energy. Thank you. You just have a great energy, and it's just like, I want to surround myself and talk to people that are just fun. You know, this industry is just so much work with just interacting with people alone. It's so much work, tempering personalities and egos, and like, do I look at you wrong? You know, hold that against me later on down the line. It's like all these things you have to worry about. And you just want, like you said, people that just go with the flow and are effervescent and a breath of fresh air. And you are all of those things. So thank you for taking the time to be here, and thank you for the kind words. And we cannot wait for all the yummy and delicious and wonderful and cool things you have coming down the pipe, because I'm sure this is just the beginning. You're just getting started, Blue. You're just getting started.
Thank you, my friend. I'm so grateful for you, and I can't wait to do this in real life. Yep,
it's going to happen. It's going to happen. Well, I'm going to let you go. You go back to cooking and reading. I received that. I'm going to go walk my dog. And
okay.
You know what? That 2020 in a nutshell, Boo. 2020 in a nutshell. I'm going to go walk my dog. And you have a great day, and talk to you soon, Danielle.
You too. Bye, Jace.
Bye.